Oh, this will be a small little event. I'm going to hang out downstairs, sign some symbolic piece of legislation. And then all of you arrived. And so let me just give a big shout out to all the folks behind me that, I don't know how the hell you got pulled into this. On stage, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for being here. To your assembly member, who's the real reason we're here, thank you, Miguel, for all your hard work and your leadership on this issue. To the band, how good is that? I brought, you guys, thank you, Mr. To all of you for giving a damn to even want to be here, for recognizing the importance of being here, not just for yourselves, but for others, for your community, for our region, for this state, for our nation. I look around this room, you look around this room, this is America's coming attraction, folks. The future happens here first. Donald Trump, eat your heart out. Diverse city, in the most diverse region, in the most diverse state, in the world's most diverse democracy. And I could not be more proud to be here today, not tolerating that diversity, but celebrating that diversity. That's a point of pride, and that's a value proposition, and that can't be repeated enough. Particularly at this moment where there's so much fear, so much anxiety, so much of our politics is being defined by that fear, by anger, by focusing on our differences, not focusing on the things that unite us. But what unites us today is a promise. What unites us today is a promotion. What unites us today is our aspiration. By definition, you would not be in this room if you were anything but optimistic. You would not spend a minute here at this campus unless you were optimistic. You wouldn't spend the time to invest in yourself and in your future unless you were optimistic. And it's that optimism that we are so desperate for at this moment in our history. You are the antidote to the cynicism and all the negativity that's going on in this country. So let me just recognize you and your leadership. Let me recognize the work you're doing, again, not only for yourselves in this community, but for those young children over here that are looking for your example. For all the parents that have come back to college or are going to college for the first time, thank you for giving a damn not only about yourself, but about your children. Thank you for being an example to your children. That's community college. That's what we're promoting. The great thing about community college is not a time of life. It's a state of mind, right? It's not just about young folks. It's about people that regardless of their manufactured date, regardless of how old they are, have the ability to do the kinds of things that only add and advance their aspirations, only advance their desires, their goals and dreams. You are making dreams real here. And so for all of the teachers here, the counselors, the mentors, to the college board representatives, thank you as well for believing in this community. And thank you for the privilege of being a governor standing up here with two remarkable leaders that made this decision in January very easy. The decision to lead, to not talk about free community college, but to deliver on the promise of free community college once and for all. That's California leading. And I know it's broke and cliche, but it's a fact. I said we're America's coming attraction. It's absolutely true. The future happens here first. Right? I mean, in every respect, the country is looking for our leadership. They're not only looking for leadership as it relates to community college, just talking about the scale and scope of our diversity, 27% of this state is foreign-born. This is a state that's brought in 115,000 refugees in just the last 12 years. A majority minority state. looking to us to see it as possible to live together, to advance together and prosper together across every conceivable difference, but they're also looking for the practical application of our values and our ideals. And that's what today is all about. Today is a demonstrable example of that. We are implementing something all these presidential candidates are promoting, and it's happening here in California at a scale that's never happened in this country. And that's something my mom used to teach me, and it's a good thing in life to think about. You're not, and it's an interesting frame of reference. Once a mind is stretched, it never goes back to its original form. So once you manifest something, once we see something actually take shape, you can never go back to the old ways of doing things, because now we know what's possible. And so for all those other legislators, for all those other governors and all those other states say, oh, we can't afford it. You know, it's just too much for us right now. We have so many other priorities. We are proving, not asserting, that it can be done. And if it can be done, it will be done all across the United States. So I'm just here filled with gratitude, respect, and appreciation. Humbled by the fact that this is a down payment. Because I am not naive. Every single one of you, if you came up to me after and say, well, that's really nice, Mr. Governor, I appreciate the help with the tuition, but when are you going to help me with my rent? When are you going to help me, with my transportation? When are you going to help me with the cost of my books? When are you going to help me, with my kids that need child care when I'm getting an education? And we get that. And we have a lot more work to do. That free community college is not the full cost of attendance. The full cost of attendance must be attended to. And that means this is just the beginning of a journey that we go on together. We have a lot of work to do. But this day is important, and I'm grateful again to each and every one of you for making it happen. Thank you, East LA. Thank you, East LA Community College. Thank you, Miguel Santiago. Thank you for the leadership of the Assembly and the Senate. Thank you all very, very much for coming out here, and thank you all for
I'm trying to end these charter wars. I'm trying to see if we can get both sides together and stop spending hundreds of millions, literally hundreds of millions of dollars, going back and forth, all these campaign ads, and just see if we can find some common ground so we can start doing some common good, which is focusing not on our differences, but focusing on the importance of investing in public education. And I think we made a real progress. I spent 9 months on this. Ever since that first night, I found out I was going to be the next governor of California. We convened folks during that transition. And folks of goodwill on both sides were willing to stick it out. And so it was a really significant announcement.
Do you think that there could be a bias on behalf of the districts? Like maybe, they don't want more charter schools in the area, so it's a chance for them to push them out?
Well, that was, the bill would have substantively done that. Look, we found some common ground. There were a lot of amendments, a lot of hard conversations, a lot of setbacks, but people were willing to stay at the table, and that's just, I don't need to impress you down here in Southern California. These wars have been going on, your nightly news. Only people that win are the consultants and the ad buyers. At the end of the day, so many people talking past each other, down to each other, and I really was hopeful we had a chance to turn the page, and I think we have. I'm not suggesting for a second that these wars are over by any stretch of the imagination, or everybody's happy. They're not. That was the nature of compromise and consensus building, but it was a big deal, and it was something I can assure you few people thought was achievable, and I just think now we have a chance to focus on excellence and quality, and when you're running short, accountability and transparency.
Governor, your administration obviously huge focus is education around preschool and now college. What kind of tangible results would you like to see happen in the state of California after your administration is complete?
You know, it's a really thoughtful question, and it's a challenging one to answer, because when you make an investment in prenatal care, that investment pays off decades later. When you make an investment in preschool, you don't know what the return on that investment is for many, many years. But it's long overdue, and it's always been the excuse, you know, in the past, that we can't afford it, or it's not a more important priority than other things. And for me, I don't think there's anything more important than preparing our kids to enter into kindergarten. One of the stubborn realities is we do not have an achievement gap as much or more than we have an opportunity gap. People aren't left behind, they start behind. And what happens is that achievement gap, as we casually refer to it, starts the day you're in kindergarten. And if you're already behind in kindergarten, good luck with all the remediation and goodwill and hard work ever catching up. So preschool builds that foundation. And so we made a huge down payment in this year's budget on preschool, and we made a commitment. I made a commitment. As long as I'm governor, we're going to build the architecture for universal preschool. And if we do that, I think you're going to see real results in our K-12 education system, but it's going to take time.
You said that free tuition the first 2 years is really just the start. We'd like to see it go further. What will that include, and how likely is it?
I mean, I saw this remarkable young man who is literally one of the student leaders here, and he's homeless. And he said, the only thing that mattered to me that you said today was you acknowledged that what you said was insufficient. And that really hit home with me. Free community college means nothing if it's just to focus on tuition and not housing and the needs of these students that are out there struggling, living in and around the campuses in cars, or bunking up with friends or family members, or God forbid out in the streets and sidewalks. And that's not, I know some people think we're wildly exaggerating that. It is a jaw-dropping number of kids that are literally heroically waking up every single day, dusting themselves quite literally off and coming to school to get an education, and they need help and support. So it's the full cost of attendance that has to be the full focus of our minds and our attention in Sacramento as we move forward beyond just tuition.
The big solar project in Los Angeles being brought right now by
Oh yeah, I read that.
How important do you think those projects are to reach California's sustainable energy?
Well, we're not gonna reach it without it. We have audacious renewable energy goals. We've already met our 2020 goals last year, which is a remarkable testament to what we're capable of doing. But in order to get to 100% by 2045, we're going to need to exponentially increase not only large-scale solar, but rooftop solar, and that means more storage and more technology in the storage space to meet the need and to meet the growing opportunities that solar provides. We are in the next phase of our implementation, and it's a stubborn phase because we're coming up against entrenched interest, we're coming up against the way things have been done in the past, and we're coming up against a deadline that's pretty self-evident to anyone who lives in California or in the southern part of this country, and that is the hots are getting hotter, the dries are getting drier, the wets are getting wetter. Mother Nature has entered into this debate, and the dominant now mindset is no longer if the climate is changing and getting warmer, it's now what the hell to do about it. And I appreciate LA's in the how business, and the state of California needs LA to be successful, and we need to be supportive of those efforts at the local level.
You got a bill, I'm good.
The workforce for the 21st century, according to the current condition in higher education?
No, I don't think we're nearly as prepared as we're going to need to be. That's why today is so important. Look, the first door of higher education is community college. I serve on the CSU Board of Trustees, the UC Regents. It gets the lion's share of attention. What doesn't get attention is the community college system. It's 2+ million of our students. It's the backbone of our education system, and so it's really important that we create a mindset of opportunity so people don't think of money as a limiting factor of getting a degree. But if we don't produce more associate's degrees and bachelor degrees, we will never meet the changing nature of automation and an economy where more and more people are participating in the kind of occupations that require deep skills and require constant and never-ending upgrade of those same skills. Someone said to me the other day, I loved it, they said, you know, all of our lives are like milk cartons. We have sell-by dates, and you constantly have to replenish, and you constantly have to upskill. That's what community colleges are about. That's why this campus literally is the answer to your question.
But this program is going to have only 1.5% of the total population.
That's why the community college system is looking to expand. That's why the UCs and CSUs are looking to expand opportunity. And then we're looking to virtualize those opportunities. We're not necessarily going to be able to build out the infrastructure to meet the demands for seat time, but we can find new novel strategies and approaches to scale our access to education by making it on demand. An on-demand economy requires on-demand education. And so you may know that we are initiating an online, what we call Calbright initiative in the state through the community college system to meet people where their careers are that will allow us to scale from millions